In this video, I'll be talking about some of the forms or genres in the work of Julian of Norwich and Margery Kempe. Okay, so when it comes to Julian, I don't know if this is a form thing, but I just need to announce it now. She's the first known woman writer in English, in the English language. Now, there may have been other women writers before her, but we don't have records that survive, or we don't know about the records. Just remember that Margery Kempe was discovered in some random cupboard. There may be some other earlier women writers buried in cupboards in England somewhere. But according to our current scholarly record, Julian of Norwich is the first known woman writer in English. And in her theological work, A Revelation of Love, there are a few genres or forms that I think can be clarifying. The first is the notion of the vision. Julian has a vision. This was fairly common in her day and age. It was a common theological occurrence, although it was often associated with women in particular. I think the dichotomy would be men study and do theology in very kind of precise and abstract ways. Women who are uneducated have visions because they don't have the skills to, go to school and things. That's me summarizing a dichotomy, not my own beliefs, just to make that clear. So the vision is often associated with female or feminine experience. And I think that might be something that kind of persists in our own day and age. I think when we think of a psychic, someone who has visions, they're often portrayed as women. One of the first psychics that came to my mind was Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, or Raven and Not So Raven. These are women who have these psychic abilities. So maybe that's a link back to Julian. Another form here is that of vernacular theology. As English becomes an increasingly prominent, useful language in the 14th century and 15th century, the notion of writing theology in English begins to be feasible, be plausible. This is Nicholas Watson's term to describe the writing of theology in the English language. And in fact, it was so controversial that writing any theology in English at all was barred by one of the bishops in the 15th century. He said, I absolutely cannot accept anyone writing theology in English. So there's something kind of political and charged about writing theology in English as opposed to Latin. Secondly, we could perhaps classify Julian of Norwich within the genre of speculative theology, which is Barbara Newman's term. She describes speculative theology as a protected space for theological speculation, allowing to certain ideas an area of free play, which might sometimes be denied during the same period to the same ideas couched as more abstract theology. I think we'll see Julian taking bold moves and risks in her theology that don't necessarily sound like other theologians in her day. And this term speculative theology might help to describe the kinds of bold risks that she takes here. In Margery Kempe's book, we do not have a theological treatise. Although it is very driven by her religious experiences, it's not setting out to put forth claims about the truth of religion. She also has visions, so that's something held in common with Julian. Her book is more of an autobiography of her life. It tells a story about her life and about her relationship with Jesus in particular, a very intimate relationship with Jesus, as you will find out in the following videos. It's a conversion narrative. It's the story of how Jesus appeared to her and began speaking to her on a regular basis. And it's a quasi-saint's life. A saint's life story is usually about the trouble and hardship experienced by a true faithful believer in the face of adversity and oppression, and it usually ends in death, because to become a saint, you had to die on behalf of Christianity. You had to kind of sacrifice your life on behalf of the cause. Kempe does not die in this story, spoiler alert, but we see her consciously trying to style herself as a saint in the making, someone who endures lots of trouble and hardship. So when you see Margery Kempe in her book complaining about oppression and trouble, remember that this is her angle. She's trying to take on the aura of a saint. She even compares herself to other known saints in the period, like St. Bridget, and has, at one point, Jesus tells her in her story, oh, you're much more valuable to me than Saint Bridget. So there's a clear kind of contest happening between her and other saints as she tries to shape herself in the mold of a saint. That's it for the forms.